So let's get started. Let's work on lesson 9's recipe, Sopapilla Cheesecake. So we'll want to begin as our first step of reading our recipe and pulling together our ingredients to really do what's called mise en place, getting everything in place. When we pull out all our ingredients in advance, we make sure we have everything we need. We make it so that when it's time to step up to our mixer or prepare things, that everything is there and in hand. So as I read through, I'm taking mental note of the equipment that I need, as well as the ingredients, because what equipment am I going to need to measure that out? What equipment am I going to need to scrape it out of a bowl or take it out of a pan or something like that when I'm using my cooking recipes? So we'll get started on reading our recipe, and we'll see that we need, for our Sopapilla cheesecake, in the ingredients, I need 1 1/2 cups sugar divided. Whoa. All right, so when using our cooking recipes, whenever I see the word divided, I'm going to stop and I'm going to jump down to my directions and figure out what the division means. Do I need 2 3/4 cups? Do I need 1 cup and a half cup? Do I need 1 1/4 cup and a quarter cup? What do I need? So I head down and I find in directions number 2 that I need 1 cup of sugar. And then again in direction number 5, I need a half a cup of sugar. Okay, great. Now I know how to measure that out. I need a teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, so I'm going to need that measuring utensil. 2 packages of cream cheese. Nothing major needed for that. Other than pre-preparation, pulling it out about an hour in advance and setting it on the counter to get to room temperature. 2 cans of crescent rolls. Awesome. I don't even have to make my own pastry. I need a teaspoon of cinnamon, so we'll be getting that out, and I need its measuring utensil, and 3/4 sticks of butter melted. Whoa, I need to melt that in my preparation before I step up to put everything together. My directions tell me that I need to preheat my oven to 350 degrees and spray a 9x13 baking dish. Okay, I'm going to need an oven preheated, and I'm going to need a 9x13 baking dish. And I'm going to need cooking spray. Look, things that they assume I have, but they didn't put on the ingredient list. We're going to unroll our can of crescent rolls after we spray it and press it down into the bottom of our baking dish, sealing up the perforations, the little holes. Okay. And then in step 2, I'm going to use a small bowl to blend cream cheese, a cup of sugar, and vanilla, and spread it evenly over the crescent dough. Okay, well, in order to blend those things, I am going to need a blender, a mixing bowl, and a beater. And then I'm going to need something to spread evenly with. Okay, pre-preparation. All right. Then it tells me I have to unroll my second can of crescent rolls onto the sheet parchment or plastic wrap and press the perforations together and transfer it onto our baking dish and place it on top of the cream cheese mixture. All right, we'll do something for that. So I might need some parchment paper or plastic wrap. That's what that's telling me. I have to pour my melted butter on top of the crescent dough. Oh, if I have to melt my butter, do I have something to melt it in that's safe? In a small bowl, so I'll need an additional small bowl to combine the remaining half cup of sugar and cinnamon and to sprinkle it over the flour. So I'll need a small bowl and something to combine with and sprinkle with. So to use one piece of equipment there, I'm going to just use a spoon to combine and a spoon to sprinkle and my small bowl. Then I get to bake it for 20 to 25 minutes at 350 degrees until it's bubbly and the bottom crust is slightly brown. I cool it before service, and I store it in the refrigerator when I'm not eating it for up to a week. When I'm ready to serve it, I can slice it, and I can add garnish, like whipped cream or fruit, if I want, if desired. All right, I've read my recipe. I've taken note of all the equipment that I'm going to need. For my newbies, I want you doing things like writing the equipment down right here, right? Then you would have your equipment list right with your ingredient list, wouldn't you? That would be awesome for some of our newbies who like to work fast. All right, so we're going to head off and we're going to do our mise en place. All right. So again, I need 1 1/2 cups of sugar divided. So I have my sugar out and ready. I'm going to go ahead and measure it. And sugar I'm allowed to scoop into. It's not quite like feathers, right? And I'm going to make sure that I still level it so that all my recipes turn out the same all the time. There's my half cup. Crazy there. And my 1 cup. Okay, so that's ready. And I can clean up as I go and put this away. Perfect. So I have that ingredient prepared. I need a teaspoon of vanilla, so I have my vanilla out. I have a measuring vessel, and I'm going to wait because I'm going to measure over this 1 cup when it's empty. I need 2 packages of cream cheese that I took out an hour ago and got it to room temperature. I need 2 cans of crescent rolls, which I have prepped out for us. So we have our 2 cans of crescent rolls. Those are ready, right? I need my teaspoon of cinnamon. So I have my cinnamon and my measuring vessel here. I can just set my 1/2 cup of sugar over with my cinnamon because those guys are going to work together later. And then a 1/3 stick of butter melted. Okay, so our butter, 1/3 stick. What does that look like to us, right? So let's check in with our butter. I have prepped out for me. I have my stick of butter. I have something to melt it in and something to cut it with. And as a reminder, we want to think about our stick of butter. So my stick of butter has 8 tablespoons in it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But look at this stick of butter, you guys. It is truly just an estimate. Look at how there's a lot of space here on the blue stripe, and then it's running over to here on the other side. So we still want to use our liquid measuring cup when we melt this to confirm it's the correct amount. So let's think about it. Okay, so I need 3/4 stick butter. My stick has 8 tablespoons in it. So that means if I break it out into quarters and think of dollars here, each quarter is 2 tablespoons. So 2 tablespoons equals 1/4. 4 tablespoons equals half. 6 tablespoons equals 3/4. And 8 tablespoons is our whole for the 8. Reminder in our food service math that 2 tablespoons is an ounce. And 1 stick equals 4 ounces or half a cup. So I need 1, 2, 3 ounces to get to my 3/4 stick of butter. I'm going to use the estimated and cut along that. Go ahead and put it in my microwave safe dish and melt it in the microwave. It got stuck. No biggie. So after we've put it in the microwave for about 20 to 25 seconds, we check in and we recognize that we need 1, 2, 3 ounces of butter. So we check on our liquid measuring cup and we see that our estimated butter, the meniscus is just creeping up a little bit. I might be a drip or 2 over or too much. I can probably shave off a drip or 2 if I wanted. There we go, perfect. 3 ounces. Using our liquid measuring cup to verify. So I have all my ingredients prepped out, almost, right? Because I'm going to head into step 1 and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my oven is preheated. So we check in with our oven and we make sure that we have our dial set where we need it. And if we have a verifier, this oven is only sitting at just about 320 degrees. So maybe I need to turn that up just a little bit, right? So we trust our dial, but we verify with a second. So we preheat our oven, and then we prep out our pan because it says to spray a 9x13 pan with cooking spray. And team, I'm going to remind you that cooking spray, these bottles don't like to be sprayed laying down, okay? They like to be sprayed standing up. So we are not going to spray our pan lying down here. We're going to pick our pan up and spray it like this and spray with our can up. So we're going to give it a good layer so that the pastry doesn't stick down to the bottom of the pan. We want that nice crispy, crusty, flaky pastry to come up and be a part of our dish. So give that a nice layer. And it tells us in these directions now that I should press one of my cans down. All right. So just as a reminder, you can look for the indicator where it tells you to tear from here. So peel in the direction of the arrow to remove label, and it will pop open. Or you can even just twist to open it. Often I find that when they're fresh, they're kind of like a pop goes the weasel. So we just go ahead and we grab and we pull in its natural direction. Right, we peel that right off. And I just gave it a twist, and I'm going to just keep twisting, okay? So look at, I'm twisting it all the way open. And I just put it down in my pan. And what I'm going to look for now is the sealed end. So right here, see how that rolls open? And right here, we find our sealed end again. Okay? So we can just set them down in our pan and roll them open. All right, roll this guy open. And our directions told us to pinch them together. So I'm just going to push them together, push them down a little bit. The end rolled up was a little fatter, so I made sure to push it down so it's even. Make sure it's all married together. All right, so we've prepped that out for all of step one. Preheated our oven, sprayed our pan, unrolled one of the cans of crescent rolls onto the bottom of our dish, and sealed the perforations. Now, in a small bowl, I'm going to blend cream cheese, 1 cup of sugar, and my teaspoon of vanilla, and spread it over this crescent roll. I am going to use a mixer, a stand mixer today. You could use a hand mixer, or you could use a glass dish and at 20-second intervals, melt your cream cheese a little bit. So 20 seconds stir, 20 seconds stir, until it's kind of smooth, and then you can add your sugars, okay? So I'm just prepping things out. I got my 2 packages of cream cheese that I let get to room temperature. And I'm just gonna open them up like this. Right, dump the whole thing in. And I even like to use my rubber scraper spatula and get all of it. I can go right to the trash, nothing to save there. And cream cheese is cream cheese. So I had a brand of one kind and another brand of another. So what? Right? Towel handy, clean up after myself. Everything's looking nice here. So we'll go ahead and clean off our wrapper again, get all the cream ingredients. Look at all that. See that? That all just came off the wrapper. We want all that in our recipe. Go ahead and throw that away. We already measured our cup of sugar. Awesome. And then, like I said, I was waiting to measure my vanilla so that I could use my 1 cup measure to measure over. Now I'm going to fill this all the way full. right? So for proper measurement in our small measurements, they're small, but they're supposed to be full. All right, so even some dripped, but it's all the way to the top and straight into my bowl, right? And then now this can just go to the dishes, and all my ingredients for this step are in the bowl. And I just head on over to my mixer, right? And with my paddle, I'm gonna mix this, not my wire whip. I'm gonna use my paddle for this job. I like to always install my paddle after my ingredients are in. Raise that up, and then I'm gonna just start it off on slow. Maybe. There we go. It's a little slow. Once it starts to combine a little better, I'll turn it up a little faster. And even while this is happening, right, team, let's go over and work on our other crescent roll. And actually, I'm going to be honest with you, when you do press it out and put it on, like you see in demonstration, oops, it's ready to be turned up because you see how it's getting creamy there, but it's all sticking to the middle. It's not really going fast enough to let go. So this is why I'm going to turn it up a little so it'll start flinging off the stuff in the middle. Still holding on to it, isn't it? Oh, there we go. Now we're getting more mixed in. If we get to a 5. There we go. So if I head over here and I look at this one where we roll them out in their squares, this is what it looks like. It's nice, right? But in my mind, I'm wondering if we can't make it look nicer. So I'm actually going to modify my pressing it out on parchment paper direction. And I feel like I'm going to unroll my crescent rolls and I'm going to place them on nicely. See if I can get some nice fluffy edges. All right, so along the edges of this bowl is a thin layer of cream cheese because the paddle can't scrape the bowl. It would rub off metal and stuff. So we need to always make sure that we stop, scrape down all the way to the bottom. Notice how I always lower my bowl so I can get all the way to the bottom. If you want, you can advance your paddle and get it out of the way. Right, and then use your paddle to scrape off your spatula. Back on. All right, things are getting smooth in there, aren't they? Looking nice. That's gonna be tasty. I think this looks wonderfully combined, nice and smooth. At this place, you could add maybe half a teaspoon of orange extract or some other flavoring if you were feeling it. You could bring over some fresh blueberries and sprinkle them on, and fold them into this right now before you put it on here. That's not what I'm picturing. Fresh blueberries in there might be fun. Actually, truth, dried blueberries might be fun. Alright, so we get our paddle real clean because we want all of our product. And our direction now tells us to go ahead and spread it out. Notice how I hold my mixer with my non-dominant hand, and then I use my scraper spatula to clean my bowl out really good. And then now I can evenly spread this. Then I just use my spatula to push it around, kind of make it nice and even, getting it to all 4 corners. All right. Next step, placing the croissants on. This is where we get to get artsy. This is where we get to be ourselves. Okay? You can take your parchment paper, right? There we go. Open it up. Keep twisting until it all falls out. There it is. And now this is again where you can just find the open, right? Roll this out. And pinch it together and work to transfer it onto the cheesecake, right? But I don't know. I think we can do better. I think we can do it prettier. So I feel like I'm going to take each little crescent square here. And I'm going to spread it out. I'm going to put it all the way on its edge. Next triangle. Spreading it out. I'm going to just stack it a little instead of pushing it together. See if I can get some like pretty puffy edges. Pretty puffy edges. Notice I keep working quick though. I don't want to be too fussy and take forever at my project. Nice, look at that, it's meeting up. I think that's going way better than trying to smush it together on the parchment paper. Alright. My next step tells me to pour the melted butter on top of the crescent rolls. I'm going to just take my spoon, spread my butter evenly. next step tells me to combine my half cup of sugar and my teaspoon of cinnamon with sugar. So I'll take my spoon and mix that up real nice. Go ahead and place it down. All right. My instructions give me time now to bake for 25 to 35 minutes until bubbly and bottom crust is slightly brown, which we won't be able to see anyway. We're going to let it cool and store it in the fridge for up to a week. And when we're ready to serve it, we are going to give it a little slice. And maybe if we want, we can garnish it with some whipped cream or even fruits. So we'll go ahead and pop this into the oven. Set our timer. And we're going to go for 25 and check in on it, because if it's done and I overcook it at 30 minutes, I can't take that time back. So we'll get that going. Once it's all done, it's going to come on out of the oven, and it's going to be all hot and bubbly. And we're going to let it cool on a cooling rack for a couple minutes, right? And then we're going to go ahead and put it in the fridge. And depending on, see, like this is some of our seams that you're seeing here, the little layers. It's all firming up because it's the cooked layer, and the cheese is starting to get a little firm. So I can transfer this to the fridge and let it cool before service. That's what we have when we're all done. That looks nice.